Record. Welcome. I'm Sister Michelle Dvorak, and welcome to today's presentation on communication and personality types through the Myers-Briggs. And our speaker for today is Sister Annemarie Campworth from the American province. Sister Annemarie.
Greetings to all of you. I am happy to be with you this morning or today, wherever time it is in your country. And I would like to talk to you about the best way to communicate using your gifts through the preference of the Myers-Briggs. So just a few minutes and I will share my screen.
Okay. That's great. Wonderful.
So some of you have taken the Myers-Briggs and some maybe have. At the end of this presentation, I will have some resources so you can either review your Myers-Briggs or take it for the first time. But today we'll go through just some of the basics and how it can help you communicate with others. When you use the Myers-Briggs, we are using four preferences, four ways and gifts that you have. The first letter is either E for extroverting or I for introverting, and it talks about how you use your energy. The second letter is either S for sensing or N for intuiting, and that talks about how you gather information. The third letter, T for thinking, doesn't mean that only T's think, everybody thinks. And F for feeling, everybody has feelings. But in this one, it's talking about how you choose to make your decisions. And the last letter is how you approach your lifestyle. J for judging or P for perceiving. Now we're going to go through each one individually. So the first one, where do you focus your energy? People who have an extroversion preference look at the outer world. They pay attention to people and events, and they get their energy from being with people and being in the external environment. Introversion, those people get their energy from themselves, from their inner world. They pay attention to their thoughts, their feelings, their impressions, and that's what gives them energy, their inner experience. If you're going to talk to someone who has the extroverting preference, who gets energy from the outside, you need to stay positive. They like social situations, and so it's very interesting to engage with them in a social way. They like to present a risk or a challenge sometimes, and they think out loud. And the trick here is sometimes when we hear someone talk, we think that is what their decision is, but not for extroverts. They process it as they talk it out to you, and that's really important part. And the extroverts want to get to know the individual, so they want to know about you, what's going on in your life, so that they can better understand and communicate with you. Now, introverts are the opposite. The one thing when you communicate with introverts, don't interrupt them. They think before speaking. So it's a process for them. And they're thinking inside of themselves before they tell you anything. So you need to respect their need for privacy and need to build some trust and confidentiality. Choose a time when there's least distractions because they want to focus on you. But if you have a lot of things going on the outside, then they're focusing on all those things and it's very disrupting for them. Speaking slowly, being patient. Sometimes in a meeting, a person will ask a question and you expect everyone to give answers. Well, the introverts are still thinking about it. So the trick there is, if it's a decision-making process, tell them ahead of time that they are going to make this decision so that in their private time, They can think through the process. They're better at one-to-one conversations than having to talk in front of a group. And again, don't impose or demand an immediate response. Provide the information ahead of time, as I just mentioned. And if possible, even write it out if it's really an important thing. So you see, it's two different ways of dealing with communication: extroversion, introversion. The second letter is, how do you gather your information? When you want to make a decision, where do you look for information? Well, the sensing people, they're aware of what is real. So they get their information through their senses. What the things they look at, sound, taste, feel, smell. They see what's actually happening. They're into the practical matters. They're into details. They can walk in a room and tell you everything that's in that room, every picture, every piece of furniture. All of that just hits them right away. For intuition, they are aware of relationships and meanings. They like to focus on the big picture and then grasp the essential patterns. They're great people about looking at the future and envisioning what could happen for the future. Now let's see how we communicate with them. For the sensing types, be very practical. Try to bring the ideas down to earth. Don't talk about, well, I imagine. No, this is what I'm seeing. Talk about how to immediately apply the information that you're giving. Give concrete examples, simple things, examples of what you're talking about. Present the information in an orderly fashion with details. They're the kind of people who like to start with step 1, go 2, 3, and so on. Don't go to the end result and then backwards. They like to see the plan. They link new ideas that you're giving them to what's happening in their present life. So you want to focus on what's working presently, not necessarily in the future. They can help you with the future, but they'll do it in a very systematic way. Now, intuitives, totally different. They're not the practical communicators. They prefer a big picture approach. They convey their points and appreciate when others do the same. Now, some of you know about GPS systems where they give you the details of how to travel from one place to another, and they always go step by step. Intuitive people want to know, where am I going? I want to see the end result first, and then they'll look at how to get them. Details, not so important to them. And they're really, really good at out-of-the-box thinking. By that, I mean, what could be? What would be the possibilities? These are great people to help you when you have to do some visioning for the future. All right, the third letter is either thinking or feeling. And you use this preference when you try to make decisions. Thinkers decide things objectively. It's based on analysis, on logic. They weigh the evidence, and then they make the decision. It's clear-cut for the thinkers. Feelers, they make their decisions on what is most important. It's usually based on people and much more subjective. Person sort of centered on the values, and they are the kind of people who they don't want conflict. That's pretty hard to deal with. They want to get along with people. They want people to feel good about what they're telling them. So let's look at it specifically. Okay, for communicating with thinkers, skip the small talk. Don't talk around it. Say what you want. Tell them what you want. Give them the big picture and then fill in the details. This is the issue I want to decide. I want you to help me decide. Allow them time to think before responding. And if they're an introverted thinker, even more so, do you allow them time? And don't misinterpret their inquiry as interrogation. What we mean by that is thinkers ask a lot of questions. And it's not that they're trying to get all this out of you, information out of you. They're trying to understand. And they ask the questions in helping them understand what the issue is. And so it's not like, they want to know everything about you. They want to make the best decision, so they need as much information as possible. Now, feelers, they want to get to know you and get a relationship going, a rapport. Avoid critiquing and evaluating when you're listening. A thinker will critique what they're hearing and make a decision about it. Feelers, they see critiquing as criticizing. Two different concepts. They like to focus on the people in the situation and find out what does that person value. They love harmony and they want a positive experience and setting. They like the friendly, approachable approach. Provide good feedback, but do it gently. Don't do it as a criticism. It's not about the people, it's about the information. And include personal needs. This is how it's going to help you live your life, kind of thing. And present a win-win solution. It's not, you don't want to hurt, quote, their feelings, but you want to give them the best information that you can. These people are really good at harmony and developing harmony within a group. Okay, now the last letter. How do we relate to the outer world? Well, the first group is judging, and we don't mean that in the usual sense. We're not judging other people. What judging here means is, how do you get things settled? How do you make decisions? They like to have structure, they organize their life, and then they make a decision and they want to move on. We did it, now what's the next thing? Perceivers, they like to adapt to the outer world. They don't want to make decisions too fast because I might need more information to make a better decision. I want to keep all my options open because tomorrow I might have a new experience and that might change what I want to decide. And so they like to leave the options open, get as much information as possible before making a decision. Let's look at communicating with them. With the judging types, set and follow a schedule. They like to offer conclusions and be willing to make a decision. When you're dealing with them, they want to decide something. They don't want to wait till tomorrow. Share your information in an organized way. Don't bounce around. Okay, I have this information, and then tomorrow I'm going to do this, and then the next day I'm going to do this. No, they want it very structured and organized. Avoid sharing too many open-ended. Well, we could do it this way, or we could do it that way, or we could do it this way. No. Focus on what is most important. Negotiate specific timelines. If you're a perceiver, maybe you can't make the decision today. So let's look at a timeline. Let's look at a deadline. Let's say, okay, by next week, we will make that decision. Then they're open and they're willing to talk with you about that. Provide clear roles and expectations. If you're assigning a task to them, tell them exactly what they need to do. And then follow through with your plan. Avoid adding unexpected tasks. So if you tell them, I have this idea, I want you to finish it by next week, don't come back tomorrow and say, oh, but I want you to do this as well, because they're already focused on the thing that you said yesterday. Okay, what about the other groups? The perceivers, just the opposite. They communicate more effectively by allowing time for new ideas and possibilities. So if you want the best kind of information from them, give them time and let them bring out as many ideas and possibilities as possible. Encourage their thinking, because that will help you make a better decision. And understand that a change in direction is not necessarily not wanting to make a decision. It's that they have more information, and the more information they get, the better their decision is going to be. So give them that time, encourage them, and listen to what the things that they're saying. So just to summarize a little bit, give introverts time to process information before you expect a reply. Let extroverts think out loud. Let them talk it through. Understand that sensors prefer a step-by-step format. Intuitives, they are more in the circular. They are sort of an out-of-order conversation. Give sensors the facts, the concrete data. Let the intuitives make their inferences and draw conclusions. The feelers appreciate warmth, good manners. The thinkers want you to be direct and straightforward. Now we're going to go a little bit more detail. When you see the combination, as you see, this is the 4 types. These are the types that you can have. Any of these, all of these are good. No matter what your preference is, it's a blessing. It's a good thing. The ones that are highlighted on this are the 2 in the middle. And what they also prevent either strengthening another one or lightening it. And so we'll go through that in a little more detail. Okay, let's look at the STs and the SFs. Keep in mind again, S's like to things in order. T's also are bottom line people. So when you have that combination, they want to know who, what, when, where, why. Just tell me what I need to know. Don't give me all that other information. When an S and an F is in the middle, again, S, they want to know detail, but F are people. They're, how can I better serve somebody? The customer service. So they want who, what, when, where, why, how, but how can I help everyone? It's more than what I need to know, but I want to help them. See the difference? What I need to know, how can I help people? The T and the F make that S a little stronger. When your NF or NT is in the middle, the NFs, what are the possibilities? The intuitors, remember, they're thinking out loud. The Fs, I want to be in good relationship. So they see interesting potential for people's development and growth. How can I help other people be better than they are? The NTs, they also are the visionaries, but the Ts want to come to some decisions. So theirs is the possibilities for systems. How can you develop a strategy for making things better? So they're looking at the external strategy to do it, not just the personal. See the difference? Look again at the table. And now we'll look at the first letter and the last letter of each one, because that also has an influence on how you relate to people. So if your first letter is I and your last letter is J, you are the decisive introverts. When you talk with them, they want to know, what's my part? And then I'll do it. I'll go away and finish it on time. I don't need to know about everybody else. Just tell me what I need to do. I'll do it, and I'll do it by such and such a time on such and such a day. And they will. Now, if you're an introvert and a perceiver, they're the flexible introverts. They also want to have time to think it through. But they say, that's interesting what you're saying. Let me go away and decide, and I'll finish it whenever I want to finish it. I'll finish it on my own time frame. And that's the thing, you got to be patient with people. Because if you're a J, you want it tomorrow. But if you're a P, their best thinking might not be finished by tomorrow. And so you need to allow that flexibility. Okay, let's look at the E. If you're an extrovert and a perceiver, we call them the flexible extroverts. They're the kind of people who say, wow, this is exciting. I could do this. I know people I can do this with. I'll network and I'll gather all the resources for the team and I'll get all my information together. And this is going to be a wonderful experience. The EJs, they're also excited about what's going on, but they're much more decisive. I've got a plan, a great plan. Follow me. Let's do it. Let's go ahead and do it. See the difference? I want to gather more resources for the P. No, I got a plan. Let's do it. TJ leadership, I think we're all in leadership in some ways. You probably find it natural to achieve work goals by organizing and structuring if you're a T and a J. So you make logical decisions and you move quickly to implement them. You know, fair systems, policies, those are all things that you like. What do you need to work at? Well, if you're a T and a J, you need to work at including others in your decision making. Allowing time for others before moving to action. Occasionally bend the rule to meet individual needs because that's what's important to them. See the difference? You have your gift, but every gift, we always need to work on other things to help us get better. If you have a T and a P, you probably find it natural to achieve your goals. You develop and demonstrate your knowledge. You analyze the information. You know logically how it's going to happen. Giving followers lots of room. You know, let's do it different ways. And those are all the best gifts that they have. What you need to work at is giving others as much structure and direction as they need. Even though that's not comfortable for you, others do need that. Explain why you're doing this and the reason for your decision so that they can understand it better. And be sure to include others in your decision making because you never know the gift of the opposite has to your problem. If F and J are your letters, your gifts are good at applying your values and beliefs. You give loyal support to the organization. You can bring harmony to people. You include others in decision-making. Those are all beautiful gifts. What you need to work at is acknowledging that there are going to be some problems and faults in people that have to be addressed. And sometimes, which is very difficult, you need to confront those people. You need to be clear to them that there is an issue that needs to be resolved. You need to move ahead to implement unpopular decisions. You know, sometimes in leadership, there are things that you decide and you know some people aren't going to like it. You try to explain it the best you can and move on and talk with them about it, but you still make the decision. If you're a feeling and a perceiver, you do seek information from everybody. That's your gift. You get everybody involved. You're flexible, you're spontaneous, you encourage more ideas, more colleagues and followers to get involved. What you're going to need to work at, though, is you will have to make a decision at some time. And it'll have to be timely. And you're going to have to stick with them, which is sometimes very difficult. You will have to work at creating structures to achieve the goals, to be more clear about how that is going to happen, and more consistent. You can't make the decision and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then tomorrow say, oh, no, I make a new decision. Let's do it this way. What that does is confuses people and they aren't following you in the ways that you would like them to. So that's sort of my thing for today. We all have gifts. And really the best way, how do we use our gifts to communicate with each other and respect each other? That's sort of the goal. And so if you haven't taken the Myers-Briggs, I would suggest that you listen to this YouTube on Myers-Briggs that will affirm some of the things that I talked about. But if you haven't even taken it, take the questionnaire first and then listen to the YouTube. If you've done all that, decide on your type and beware of how you use it in your interaction with others. That would be a great discussion as you talk about this with other people. And when you're having a difficult discussion with someone, be aware of how you're listening to them. Are you coming from your position, or are you putting yourself in their shoes, understanding what their preference is? So that's my view for today. It's been great being with you, and hopefully you will find this very helpful in the ways that which you communicate with others.
Thank you, Sister Annemarie. You really, with the presentation, you really help us understand that just the benefit of being aware how others make decisions really helps us to become a better leader and a better sister to each other. So if we're having a walk and we're having a really good conversation with someone who's an introvert, and I pose a question, I might need to just give them time to respond to that question, etc. It happens in individually, in relationships, and in groups. So thank you.
Exactly. You're welcome. Good to be
Thank you
with
so
all of
much.
you.
All right. Take care, everybody. Looking forward to the next presentation. Bye now.